Doug, we're talking about
Yeah.
decision making. Help me figure this out. Why do I not have time to text you back, but I do have time to check on Buster's photos in the Instagram stories? Doug, it's June 10th, Wednesday. Leadership staff training starts for us tomorrow. I've got 25 people here doing pre-camp stuff. I'll admit I'm a little bit tired, probably because I stayed up too late 2 nights ago watching the Knicks lose. Tough loss. Spurs in seven. And but I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something. I still read Dan Weir's newsletter, and I dropped my dog off at doggy daycare this morning, and I still checked the feed to see the pictures of him in the story, even while I'm like running between things, having a meeting about transitioning from family style to buffet style and who's going to serve and all this stuff. It's like I don't have capacity to do that many more decisions, but I still have capacity to like do a little messing around and reading some stuff. And I can't quite grasp this in my head. Like I'm like realizing it in the moment.
By the way, doggy daycare, hashtag how rich. If we're just dropping our dogs. Just the life of a camp owner, just the dogs get to go to daycare. Okay.
Dude, I got it. I got it for real. Breezy's my girlfriend. She dropped Buster off at doggy daycare for the first time. He's a 6 month old puppy. We got him like a month ago. Getting a dog right before camp may be the stupidest thing ever, but I'm a great boyfriend. Let it be known. And uh she just like dropped him off and she just started bawling, crying about leaving him there the first time. And she runs a camp for kids with autism. Shout out Skywild. Come volunteer at the end of the summer at Caney. Anyway, and she's just like, I don't know how to say this because it's not really the same, but I have so much more empathy for our parents now. And I was like, yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Go drop off something you love. Actually, it is funny. We'll talk about this another day, but just being able to internalize the feelings around drop off around things. I'm the most. This is not what we're going to talk about, but this is worth sharing. The first time I ever dropped my kid off at summer camp. By the way, as a note, worked at summer camp my whole life. My wife and I met at summer camp. All my best friends are from summer camp. Sat on the board of a summer camp, the whole list of summer camp. And I was for sure the parent at drop off that just wouldn't leave. That they had to say, "Hey, it's time to go." I'm like, well, "I heard you. I'm not leaving." Like, and so and no one's more camp maximalized that doesn't actually work full time in a camp than I am. I don't think I have to be almost like one of one on this part of it about someone who just like doesn't isn't boots on the ground. It's just is a very very hard thing. I actually do think that there's a world where camp people probably get um calloused to that over time. Would you say like that there's a callousness that builds around how actually hard it is, and I think that callousness is that a word that extends to the decision to actually go to camp too. And I think because when you are in it, of course you look around, you're like, oh my God, this place is beautiful. There's a lake, everyone's awesome. We know our staff training, we do all this great stuff. How could you not? And there's just a world of people out there that forget about how hard it would be to drop them off. It's the one step before that. Like, are you absolutely insane? Send my kid away to a week with a group of strangers? That's seems like words I don't really want to say. I don't know. Do you think there's a callousness around around people that have been in it for a long time to like not be able to sort of access those feelings
Yeah, well,
of
of
what it's
course, the
actually
first
like?
the first time you do anything is the hardest time to do it, almost always, right? Like, and and so then you get used to it and you get better at it. It's like the first time you go to the gym, you're like, where are the weight? How do I do this? And then you start doing it, you just like build all of those muscles, metaphorically and like physically. And then at camp, it's the same thing. Like I've been going to camp for 30 years. So it's hard for me to remember the first time walking onto camp and being scared. And so, of course, I do my best to empathize, but it's different. Like I'm not there. So it's like I've just got to like constantly remind myself that it's a really big decision and that it's really hard to do that. So, um, but time, Doug, we're talking about
Yeah,
decision making. We're
time.
talking about content. help me figure this out. Why do I not have time to text you back, but I do have time to check on Buster's photos in the Instagram stories?
It's great too. I think that I think that well, I don't know why you specifically don't have time to do it, but I do believe that the part where ingesting information and actioning on information are two different things, right? So it's one thing to go and read Dan's newsletter, or for another camp director, owner, or pro to read your newsletter every week and to say to themselves, or read Substack or whatever it is, and nod their head along and feel engage with it and feel like it's helpful. But then, at the end of a lot of what's written, for sure on Substack, every Substack ends with try this. And this is probably where it stops for everybody during the summer, is that there's a list of good ideas, pat on our back on that one, but there's a list of good ideas just frankly, just from things that we're doing, that we're trying and we believe are going to work. And at the very end, there's a try this, and that's probably where everyone just eyes glaze over, because it is actually hard to go do the next thing, right? It is actually hard. The difference of having an idea and thinking something sounds great and then going and try this. My example would be, you don't even want to look at how many Twitter things I've bookmarked that I'm like, I will get back to this idea and I will definitely do that. And it is just an absolute graveyard of ideas that I've never done anything with. And so it's probably something along those lines. Is at some point you fill up with capacity around what you can actually do, which is why it's even more important to have a plan in place, right? Like, to have some kind of plan in place, knowing that this is going to happen, that there's going to be a time, when staff comes here tomorrow, and you say that's the end of it. The time of actioning at that point is over. And we think we've tried to cure part of this summer, at least on a very high level, around blocking out the times when it's absolutely critical to do certain things. And like, is that like the fairest way to put it up? And then we can go into like what that actually means.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's like I think in some ways we're talking about two different things. We're talking about getting things done at camp and then getting things done for the fall. And
Yeah, yeah.
like this morning, I realized I just had too many things on my plate. If you read the newsletter from a few weeks ago, you realized like we had lost our a whole bunch of our kitchen staff, and I had to like do a million things. So I had been like head down deep in recruiting kitchen staff and having to rearrange our kitchen to like our kitchen plan and where they slept and whatever. So I'm like way in the weeds on the kitchen. And I look up and I'm like, now all of a sudden the kitchen is on my plate, and it shouldn't be. Like it's like from like our org, it just shouldn't be. I shouldn't be the one that is in like working with our chef every day. It just shouldn't be what I do. And I had to like then take a deep breath and sit with Sylvia and be like, okay, I'm going to pass this off to you. It's going to take 3 meetings with these 3 people so you can get up to this. Here's some information, and then she can like take it off of my plate. Not because I can't do that. I couldn't have done the kitchen, but it's because it's like it's a huge number of decisions every day to keep up with. And that's like the on-site version is what are the 3 meetings that I can have to get out of the thing that feels like only I have enough information to do the work. Because if I can get that information out to someone, it can be um, huge. And so I think the 3 meetings are, by the way, it's like one with the person you're gonna delegate to, two is with the people that they're gonna organize the project with, and then the third one is back with the person that you are delegating to be like, okay, what did we miss? What do we need to do? And then Sylvia is off doing some kitchen stuff right now. But the other one is the part that I think is where I'm even worse, which is like I need kids to be signing up for camp for 2027 in the summer of 2026. And in the old important and urgent world, doing emails for recruitment for 2027 is not going to feel urgent July 18th when I need those kids to be signing up for camp. And that's why we just spent the last month where I just like tried to get you to pull all of the information out of my head and build the like you use your expertise on actual like marketing stuff to get us ready for 2027 now.
Yeah, and by the way, this work, so we put this all together. We put a whole year plan. It's going to change. With you can't plan a year of content a year in advance. Like, you can really only have a roadmap at that point. You can even a month sometimes is very difficult, right? So, but the whole goal of pulling this together was because one, it was the recognition that yeah. And by the way, I actually think every camp is in this position. I know you are because you're saying you need to kind of guarantee slots for next year. I know everyone is in this position. It was like if you can get operating capital flowing toward 2027 now, then everyone would check that box right this instant. I think the problem where it's hard is the problem where you said is that that's a very top of org decision to make. You have to be the one who approves everything, right? Unless you have a full marketing team at your disposal. And even then, honestly, even big businesses that have full marketing teams use to shoot this kind of thing all the way up the chain to rubber stamp at least something that's going to happen. So I don't even think this is a camp specific thing, but there has to be some overarching plan of what I'm going to call a sales cycle, of what the sales cycle is going to look like so that you've one to realize, okay, well, actually, this starts way sooner than I thought it was going to, right? This actually starts kind of now, honestly, and kids haven't even come, so that it can be in place for when it really matters. Because, and I'll outline what the K&E one is because it's specific to this. But every camp is gonna before I even do that, every camp is gonna fall into a category of this is probably the chance where I can push next summer now. And I have to at least have it in the back of my brain, if not an entire sequence of events that have to take place to make sure it happens. Well, just tell them what's your sales cycle is anchored around what? You say it real quick and then I'll backtrack through the plan.
Yeah, so the big thing we're doing a little bit differently is we're adding in this. What we notice is like for a camp like ours where kids come for a long time, they end up buying a ton of gear for camp. And what we're going to start for next year is a year of K&E gear. Every month, if you enroll, you get a new set of gear shipped to your house for each month from then until camp. So if you enroll in July, you get 12 packages. If you enroll in August, 11, whatever. And that's that's a bunch of money. We can do that because the margins for camp are we charge a lot of money for camp. So but that's what we're doing to try to build some momentum instead of just discounts. What's the value add that we could add? And if we're going to do that, I need to be able to have gear that I can hand to people when they enroll, if they enroll on the last day of camp or at visiting day.
Right,
And
exactly.
and that means I have to have it done tomorrow. Like I have to be working on this.
By the way, and so part of the planning was this. It was okay, what can we anchor an entire year's worth of essentially value to, right? Like any sales sequence has to you have to place value at the center of it. What are you giving in order to get, right? That's kind of 101 stuff. It's good if it's thematic, right? It's good if it's because that will just stick in your head. So that's just something. It's good if it's earnest and honest. We know the kids already like this stuff. So there's nothing used car salesy around this, I don't think. These are things that just already naturally happen at K&E anyway, right? Every camp has probably some version of this. It took this was not this was not minute zero where we figured this out, by the way. This was talking. Like we had to talk this out to kind of figure it out. Because it was again, we don't want to do discounts. We want to just we want to add this to the package, right? But okay, so that was one, figuring out what the actual thing was going to look like. But the second part is now that you've figured this thing out, okay, there was also logistics of you have to have the gear, like you said, it has to be there on visiting day. You have to be able to hand it over, end of camp, hand it over. Also, part of sales, and this is just anything, is you have to be in the reminder business that this is happening, right? There's actually a warm up period and a nurturing period for just these parents that they have to know that it's happening. And you can't just trust it to know it when they just roll into camp on visiting day. It requires just to let you know this is happening. Hey, just a reminder. Hey, 48 hours till visiting day. I know people don't really want to think like this in camp world because it does not sound like the salesy piece that they got into business doing when you got into this job. This is just how it works. Like I hate to say it like this, but this is just the sales sequencing and nurturing that works. And like I said, hey, this is happening. You don't want to miss this. 2 days, countdown is here. One more hour till you come. Don't forget. It works. It works. And I hate to say it like this because it's going to sound not true, but it is true. They want to know. They want to know because if it's happening and it's important to their kids and it's important to the place they care about, believe me, they want to know. They do not want to get actually blindsided by this thing where they show up on visiting day and everyone's strutting around with absolutely awesome K&E gear and they're wondering why it is that they don't know the mechanism by which to get it. So I think this is all just earnest and honest, but it requires planning ahead of time to make sure it happens. Like you have to have those calendar pieces set up ahead of time.
And so for us, like what we've built is both a year of K&E gear and then a content calendar for
Yeah.
52 weeks. And like Doug said, we're not going to probably use the same, 30 weeks in, things will be a little different, but it's going to give us a baseline to be working off of instead of starting from scratch where it's hard. This is back to I have
Or
times.
shooting from the hip. Sorry to interrupt you. Or just absolutely saying something along the lines of, "Oh man, we were going to do this. It's Thursday. Can we get it out by Friday?" Sorry to interrupt you, but there's like this other version of it too.
Well, so exactly. And so then we're editing instead of creating. Like we're not starting from scratch. Anyway, I think it's really important. And Doug's got a prompt that'll help you get all the way to your version of this. It'll ask you 1,000 questions and get you to have a content calendar that isn't done. You're gonna have to need a human in the loop. You're gonna need to do some work, but it got us a really long way. And it was a lot of hours of talking that got us close. And then these prompts got built, and they're gonna give us what we need to do. So instead of me being like, "What should I do?" I get an email. It just says, "Hey Jack, don't forget, you got to get this video filmed for next week."
Yeah, and by the way, and most sites plan. Like I know we work together on this, and not every camp's going to have someone sitting in their home office doing this stuff. And and we'll get out of here on this, but the prompt itself is we did all the work and then reverse engineered the prompt to just say how could this work for everybody else, right? How could that and it require okay, type in your calendar, type in your camp. And by the way, the prompt isn't just the sales prompt either. It was because we have thought leadership that goes in here, we have logistics, like there's other pieces that go into the calendar around themes that we want to make sure we kind of don't forget to hit on during the year. And it has a whole piece of that. Like the prompt will also match thematically to other writers out there in the world that probably have ideas that your camp wants to espouse. So it's not just a sales cycle, it's a capacity cycle. There's everything, really everything. How often can you publish? What are the key critical times? When do you send more logistic emails? It's all packaged into this. It's actually a series of prompts you have to run. It's 4 prompts or 5. I can't. It's 4 or 5 prompts you have to run sort of simultaneous, or sorry, back to back to back. And but by the end of it, it will lay out at least the bones of it so that it's June 10th right now. You don't get hit with the last day of camp and you're wondering why things weren't really set up. So anyway, I hope it's helpful. The link will be in the show notes. Go ahead.
All
We'll
right,
get out of here on
Doug.
this.
Doug, no, I want something totally different we didn't talk about. Your
Good.
youngest daughter's about to go to camp for the first time.
Yeah.
The camp you grew up at.
Hell
How's it
yeah.
feel? How's it feel? What are you thinking? What are you excited about? What are you worried about?
I'm not actually worried now. It was like it's the first kid syndrome, right? It's like the same thing. Like when I had my first kid, it was nothing but worry, and it was the second kid was just it's all good, man. We don't have to do anything. You just sit here and watch. No, I'm not really worried about it at all. The actually, I will say, so my oldest goes to Stomping Ground. I'm gonna say it. My oldest goes to Stomping Ground every summer, and then my youngest is gonna go to Johnsonburg, which in New Jersey, which is where I met my wife and I met. And they did an awesome thing where they had an open house day. She was very nervous and the just did not really want to go, wasn't sure. And they did an open house day where they just opened up. I don't think we talked about this on here. Where they opened up the camp and really nothing was going on. There was the lake was open. You could go boating. The zip line was open, and that was kind of it. There's probably like 4 staff members on like actually working it. And she walked away from that and just was like, I can't wait. So it's like, it is funny about that where her nerves just by being there for 2 hours or something like that of really nothing except for walking around, um, were just completely, nerfed, right? By just kind of seeing it. And now she's really excited to go. So I don't know. I'm really not nervous. It was the first kid syndrome, that made me nervous about it. The second kid syndrome, she's more nervous than I am for sure.
So the takeaway is get some families to camp. Let them see what's actually happening, because
Dude, can I
because
say this real quick? Every camp I realize does every camp I talk to does some form of just kind of a work day before camp or something where a couple camps I was like, just invite everyone to come to this. They're like, oh right, okay. And most people at camps have this kind of set up. You just have to have them come. It's a little different for the Northeast camps where people are coming from all over the country. I get it's going to be easier than other places, but if you're
sure.
even quasi regional, just if you can open the doors up to just have people walk around, I'm positive that's a conversion tactic. In the best in the to get people to actually come.
Yep. Yep. If you run a camp like mine, you're having you got tours all summer long where families will be walking around camp like they're going on college tours, which is something I didn't realize was true for camps like mine. Um,
No, we'll
but
talk about
yeah.
that next time. That's good. Actually, we should talk about it next time because that's come up a couple times too about how to sort of push people into things like that also more readily. Okay.
Well, that's
Um,
it, baby. We'll see you next week. I'll have full-on staff training going. So who knows what kind of cockamamie things I'll have cooking in this tiny little brain of mine.
all right,
Um,
take it easy.
see you guys.